Hello. Good evening, everyone. Give it a few minutes. I got to get used to this different look on camera. I'm used to my big hair. How is everyone doing? Oops, I'm going to turn this down. Here, okay. As you come on, I know we're going to have to rebuild this thing because I haven't been on in months, but I'm on here. And as you come on, I want you to know I'm Dr. Torri J. I am the founder and CEO of the Fatherless Generation Foundation. This is Healing Tuesday, and like I said, I haven't been on here in months, so we are going to see who jumps on here. As you jump on, tell me where you're from, where you're tuning in from. Also, if you are watching this in replay, type replay in the box. Even when I prayed on Monday, people were like, where have you been? I've been taking care of me, healing me. It's been pretty rough out here. It's been pretty hard. But I'm taking care of me. And so I'm back on here. Wanted to start it off tonight by getting into an interesting topic. And glad to see you guys jumping on. As you jump on, tell me where you're from or where you're tuning in from. And as I get used to the new look on this camera, I had to do something different. Something different for right now. But I wanted to tune in, jump on, and have a conversation with you guys. I know, once again, I'm going to say it again. It has been many, many months since I've been on here. I am grateful that you guys are jumping on. We're going to have a conversation of what is creating fatherlessness. Is it the courts? Is it absent fathers? Is it bitter baby mamas? Or is it something more than that? Or is it all of the above? So as you guys jump on, once again, tell me where you are tuning in from. Many of you are like, who is this woman? I've never seen this before. We've had a lot of people like and follow the Fatherless Generation Foundation while I was off, just from our posts. And so once again, I'll announce myself. I am Dr. Torri J. Evans Barton, and I am the founder and CEO of the Fatherless Generation Foundation. I am on here to start back up, restart our Healing Tuesday, where we talk about all things fatherless. Typically, we don't get into court conversations, but I've had some cases lately that have really made me want to have this conversation. I even had something that's happened in one particular case that's never happened before, and I'm trying to navigate this storm on how to rectify the situation, because it's never happened. You know, when you're in business, things happen and you kind of have to go, what would I do? How would I handle that? But once again, I see people coming on, jumping off all of that. Tell me where you're tuning in from. I want to know. A little icebreaker. And tonight we're going to talk about what's creating fatherlessness. Courts, bitter baby mamas, absent fathers, judges, Title 4D, all of these things. Let's talk about this stuff tonight. You guys are not chatting with me. Okay, let me go here. I like engagement, and I know I've lost some of my people. They're like, well, she ain't been on in months, so hopefully people will jump on because they'll see it chime on to their, it gives them the notification. Hopefully they still got their notifications on, that I'm back on. But I like engagement. I am not someone who just likes to talk to a screen. That's the fastest way to get me off of here. I am not a person who likes to do lives because you have to look at yourself. And I don't like to necessarily do that all the time. I start to notice things like that little line right there. I like to laugh. A lot of this stuff is it's difficult to listen to. It's difficult to take in. So let me get started. I'm going to start with what is creating fatherlessness. I'm going to go with the very obvious, the very physical, very real things that are creating fatherlessness. I'm going to type it this in. Number one, divorce. Yeah, divorce is the number one thing that's creating fatherlessness. And there's two, out of wedlock births, as they call them. Back in the day, they were like, them children, born out of wedlock, or non-marital births is what it's also called. So these are the top two things that are causing fatherlessness. Now, why would these cause fatherlessness? That's a good question. So let me go here. I have some stats for you. So these are some of the stats concerning the state of fatherhood. 37.9% of fathers have no access or visitation rights to their children. That is a Census Bureau stat that came out in 1991. Now, I can tell you a lot of these statistics are old. Why? Because they have not updated these things in the system. They've not reassessed, done more surveys. They have not done that. 40% of mothers reported that they have interfered with non-custodial father's visitation on at least one occasion to punish the ex-spouse. Now, that actually is frequency of visitation by divorced fathers, and that was done in 1991 as well. This is something I find intriguing. Overall, approximately 50% of mothers see no value in fathers' continued contact with children after the divorce and the breakup. So here we have just a few statistics that are just giving you an idea as to why fatherlessness becomes an issue in a divorced home or an out of wedlock non-marital birth situation. Because once the relationship is over, women tend not to see value. Women tend to interfere. Now, dads, you guys aren't perfect. You haven't done everything correct. You actually get yourself in a whole lot of trouble. I won't say that those statistics are here, but I will say this: 44% of those with no visitation rights still have a financial obligation to support their children. Now, dads get real upset about this. They get real upset about this. And this begins to work on them emotionally. And when they can't see their children and they're paying child support, this becomes like, how do I put this? This becomes one of the issues that fuels the fire on the side of the man. It becomes a real issue with him. Now, I always tell women, the statistics are in your favor if you let a man see his child, that you're going to get the support that you need. 90+% of fathers with joint custody pay child support that's due. That means they have joint custody, they have decision-making power, and fathers with visitation rights pay 79% of the time. They pay all of their child support 79.1% of the time. Those without any rights, any visitation, 44.5%. You're more likely to get the help that you need financially that you talk about by making sure that the man has a relationship with the child. Now, I am going to tell you, I have seen this on both sides, so I'm not here to take sides, not tonight. Sometimes I do take sides, but I'm going to tell you both. I have seen both parties, male and female, mother and father, actually repeat dysfunctional cycles in these situations. I'm sorry, I took notes because that's why I'm looking down, because I took some notes that I need to write down and I need to hit. Both create dysfunctional cycles, and when not healed or they're still broken, we tend to repeat these cycles contrary to our desires. Now, I know people are like, well, it's mom. You read those statistics on mom. Yeah, I did. And we have to acknowledge that we as women have created a lot of this. I'm an African-American woman, and I'm going to say it flat-footed without any question. Black women, unfortunately, many of you have been used to destroy your own families. It was you, it was you, it was you. And I know, he cheated. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. Sometimes he didn't do any of those things. But because you were born in a fatherless situation and you didn't see any need for this man, you were like, I grew up fatherless and I turned out just fine, in denial, lying to yourself. And so you now have created this cycle thinking that you can be superwoman, you can be mother and father, and you can do it all on your own. I'm talking to my sisters right now. So not that other people aren't involved, but I'm specifically talking to us. We have created a situation that is contrary to what is necessary to build, to train, to grow, and to develop a healthy child who turns into an adult that is necessary, for these children to be the best they can possibly be. We are in the way. We are constantly in the way. And I can even say during this time of healing me and dealing with me, God will reveal to you who you are. And yes, I have a lot of things going on that are amazing and that are great. But there were things that God was sharing with me over the last few months about me that I wouldn't say that was detrimental. He never used that word. But there were fears that were bred and created in my foundation, in my single parent household, that created an anxiousness, that created fear, that created an anxious attachment in my marriage, that created certain things that I just, as much as I was aware of it, I wasn't aware of it, right? As much as I wanted to do different, some things didn't go different. And I can honestly tell you, too many of us as products of fatherless homes, we have, our heart is good and good. We have good intentions that we're going to break the cycle. But let me tell you how you break the cycle. You break the cycle by acknowledging that it exists, by examining yourself and looking yourself in the mirror. You can't live in denial and call yourself breaking the cycle. Too many do not. We don't consider the healing work and what is required to break generational trauma. It's a lot of work to do that. And the work starts with acknowledging that it exists. The work starts with acknowledging that your mama lied. The work starts with that's the work. Mamas are not deities. They are not Jesus. And even if they saved and they pray, they are not the Messiah. And too many of us have placed our parents and especially our mothers in the place of a Messiah. And so when we find out that she lied about our fathers, we totally, especially you boys, I'm gonna call you boys, you probably 40, 50, 30, whatever years old, but you're still a boy because you cannot even acknowledge that your mother lied to you. And when you find out that she lied to you, all of your life falls apart simply because you placed her in the status of Jesus or whatever your deity is. You gave her deity status. That is detrimental to you. There are too many who do not know or are in denial of their fatherless journeys. They're in denial of why their fatherless homes were what they are or were. I'm going to say are, because although you may be an adult, you are still living out the experience of your fatherless home. Here are some of the reasons why you're in denial and you cannot accept it. You have a loyalty bond that goes into that deity. You cannot acknowledge that your mother was wrong. And in acknowledging that your mother was wrong, that would feel like you're betraying her, the very person who stayed. So you're loyal to a fault, as they say. Enmeshments. Talked about enmeshments previously. Enmeshment is you become the man of the house. You become your mother's boyfriend, basically. You become her emotional partner. You become her emotional incest. And I'm sorry, I keep talking about mothers, but when we grow up in fatherless homes, guess who's raising us? And we can't walk away from that because she was the one who stayed. And I do understand that. There's a level of reverence and honor in that fact. There is the fact, but if she's the one who pushed him out and she's the one who did all of the dirty stuff, then we got some questions to answer. And here we have another one, narcissistic parenting. In my coaching groups, we've been talking about narcissistic parenting and we've been looking at it. And we've also been looking at the impact it's had on us as individuals growing up in fatherless homes. And I got to tell you, the number one thing that has come out of the fatherhood in the men's group, as well as the women's group, is it was our mothers. I'm telling you, I didn't create that. That was what was talked about in both of those groups. And I have 3 groups total. Everyone was like, my mother was the narcissistic parent. And we were watching a video. It wasn't even Torri pouring it in there. We were watching a video, and the video's good. The video's good. We were watching a video, and the video was breaking down what a narcissistic parent looks like. It talked about how men are 80% more likely to be narcissists and women are 20% more likely to be narcissists. But unfortunately for children, because they have more face time with their mothers, they're getting the experience from their mothers versus their fathers. Isn't that something? And so as we look at it, mothers tend to be narcissistic, especially in fatherless homes, because they want to paint the picture that everything's good without the father. The children have to show up perfect. The children have to present perfect. The children have to be, and Bobby and Jimmy and everybody's moving along and everybody's great and no one's broken and that's narcissistic parenting. You never check the child. You never tell the child they're not good, especially when they become adults. Billy, Johnny, Jimmy, all of them are fantastic. And when someone tells you your child is horrible, what you begin to see is that you're a horrible parent. And that's not what that is. Maybe your child did something horrible. Some children, I have watched children do this. They have amazing grades at school, but will terrorize the classroom. That's horrible. Not just one time, but on a regular basis. Where do you think bullies come from? Most of them come from fatherless homes. Horrible behavior. Horrible. I know some people are like, well, that's just a situation. If they do it consistently, I'm gonna need y'all to get y'all children counseling. But a lot of these statistics fall into this narcissistic parenting. I wanna hit you with something. I'm preparing to go to Dallas on Thursday. I'm speaking at a conference this weekend. And I want to prepare you for something. I want to tell you something that I'm teaching on this weekend. When we're talking about breaking generational curses and generational trauma and alleviating this and stepping out of it and getting out of it and healing it, you've got to know something. Generational trauma is carried in your DNA. It's carried in your DNA. So how do you get rid of something that's in your DNA? How do you get rid of something that's in your DNA? That's going to take work. That means that you have to totally shift your mindset. You have to create, like when you shift your mind, different chemicals are produced. That's why they give people certain drugs to start balancing them. I've seen a lot of videos, and I watch TikTok sometimes. TikTok has gotten on my nerves. So I've gotten off of it. It's too much. That's a sidebar. I was watching these videos and about therapists, and therapists were getting on there saying, it's not the medication that's healing you. The medication is balancing you while you're going to therapy so that then you can heal through therapy and get off the medication, right? Once you start healing yourself, the chemicals that are released begin to balance you again. Healing it balances you. Healing releases chemicals. Guess what that does to your DNA? You can change your DNA through healing, y'all. You can break the curse not only for you, but for the next generation. And when you have children, the next set of children, you can break that off of them by changing up their DNA. That's powerful. I don't know about you, but I was like, whew, that's powerful. That's some of the stuff I have to teach this weekend. But I need you to understand that. It requires you to get in and really change up the chemical makeup of who you are. That's healing. Healing isn't just on the outside and just the inside. It's within your DNA. Do you realize that? How powerful that is? I'm just giving you some of the key contributors. I gave you 3: loyalty, bond, enmeshments, and narcissistic parenting. These are some of the aspects of fatherless homes. What's creating fatherlessness? These things right here. I gave the top 2, right? Reasons: divorce, out of wedlock, or non-marital births, right? But here, this is how we stop from healing ourselves. So let's speak spiritually. Some of you are like, well, it's the courts. It's this and that. I want to go back to this. I need you to understand that the judge and the court doesn't know you when you walk into that room. So you got to operate accordingly. And you got to operate from a place of understanding that discretion is not always on your side. Family courts don't have maximums and minimums like criminal courts do. And so because of that, you're dealing with a judge's discretion. That means his opinion, how he feels about a situation, right? And you don't know how he feels. You don't know his background. You don't know his experience as a judge or as a person. And so you may be dealing with someone who comes from this fatherless home, who has a loyalty bond to his mother, who is a mesh with his mama, or she is a mesh, or they have a narcissistic parent, and therefore they're going to be biased concerning men who show up in the courtroom. They may have come from an abusive home, and if they hear domestic violence, whether it's true or not, they're going to be triggered. They're going to have an issue. Now, I know we say judges aren't supposed to do that. but people are human. Oh, you see my shirt? Human. They are human. And so because they are human, you can't always get people to not operate from that space. I know we had there were several bills being pushed around the country concerning shared parenting. I think only one got through this year. I know the one in Georgia that I was really a part of, the judicial chair was like, "Nah, I work with children and women in domestic violence, so the buck stops here. I'm not letting it go any further." That's a bias. But guess what? It wasn't against the law. And so that bill is dead. Dead. DEAD, dead, simply because of her experience. And many of you are experiencing that in a court case, and you don't know how to navigate. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to move forward. I'm going to tell you, this thing of fatherlessness is not only a natural thing, it's also a spiritual thing. And some of you, you know me. If you know me, you know me. If you don't, you're about to learn me. I am going to always teach you both. You've got to get centered. You've got to get your relationship back in a place of peace. Too many of you walk into a courtroom with your emotions on your sleeves. You ready to fight. You acting like, well, she lied. The judge doesn't know she lied because he doesn't know, or she doesn't know her or him. Like, nobody knows these people. They don't know you. You guys walk in as if they know you. Oh, she lied. They don't know she's lying. You realize that, right? They don't know he lied. Well, he didn't do that. They don't know that. So you have to walk into this place knowing who's fighting with you and knowing what fight you're actually fighting. Too many of you are fighting each other when you should be fighting for the best interest of your children, but yet you're fighting for your own best interest. Stop putting your interest above your children. Both of you do it. I've watched you both do it. I had a call this week, or well, it was last week. Still, the couple's still married. Mom left the child with the father for 6-7 months. Mother wanted to visit the child, and so, can the child come with me for the summer? She signed a promissory note to return the child after the summer, and guess what happened? Y'all know she didn't return that child, right? And guess what? It's not considered kidnapping. And dad is trying to figure out, how is this possible? How can that happen? Because she planned that. As soon as she was supposed to return, the day she was supposed to return the child, she filed for divorce and sent it to him. That was planned. Too many of you are sleeping. You are not praying enough to know strategies and reaching out to people to get the help you need. I want you to think about the benefits courts gain from dysfunctional families. What are those benefits? More child support, less dads having access. And when you have less access and less overnights, you pay more child support. Getting you guys to constantly quarrel and fight means more filings, more money, right? That's what that means. It's all a money game. So if the courts are benefiting from you quarreling and having these dysfunctional families, how much more in the spiritual realm does Satan, our enemy, darkness, benefit from having dysfunctional families? How much more does hell benefit from children growing up fatherless? When you grow up fatherless, you tend to grow up in poverty. Those things are starting to shift, but you're still growing up in poverty. A lot of children are still growing up in poverty, growing up in the hood. There's a lack of protection. And as much as women want to say they can protect, it's not the same. I hate to tell you that. A lack of emotional, mental, psychological, and spiritual development. These are some of the things that the children are experiencing. Dysfunctional foundations are definitely what children are experiencing. They're not being able to have the solid foundation they need. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm reading my thing. These open doors for you to repeat the cycles in your life. The spiritual component to me is many times more important and bigger and deeper than the natural component. I can tell you there are a lot of fathers that I have experienced in the years of doing Healing Tuesday. We've done Healing Tuesday. I've done it for what, 2 years now? This will be 2 years. And yes, I just had a 2-3 month break. I don't remember how long it was, but it was long enough. And in having that break, I can tell you that I still have fathers emailing me saying, when I centered myself and knew who was fighting the battle with me, I actually got a phone call. I didn't even have to file with court. I didn't have to go into court. I got a phone call, and my baby mama or my ex-wife or my ex-girlfriend, she was like, you know what? I've had enough. I've done enough. Sometimes God is waiting on you to just call, deliver, like just pick up the phone and call him. Sometimes that's just where it is. But many of you are so ego driven. You're living in pride. You won't even acknowledge God in that way. Some of you just need to pick up the phone and call your ex and figure out where she is in the situation. And ladies, you need to pick up the phone and call your ex and give him access to his children. He is not abusive. He is not violent. He is, even if, look, if he's on drugs, email me because we can get him into rehab. We can figure out the rehab situation. There are certain aspects where we throw away men just because they have flaws. That's not what we do. We don't throw mamas away because they have flaws. We work on them. We give them services and programs, and we reunite with them with their children. That's the same thing we do with fathers. It's very difficult for me to work with an abusive man. I can't lie to you about that. When he is truly abusive, he is truly that violent person. It's difficult for me to work with that. I don't know how to work with that. I've had to keep people's money and keep it moving who lied and said they weren't. Oh, they just said I was abusive. And then you figure out they were really abusive. Child, I'm not working with you. Your money is kept because you lied. That's how we operate. And I've had to do that with 2 people now. I don't maneuver like that. And trust me when I say I operate in all of my godliness, and I can sense and feel who is lying and who isn't. That's why there's 4 phases to our reunification program. Because I'm gonna feel it. And then as I go through the steps, I'm going to start to see what I'm feeling. So trust me, many need to know that it doesn't operate like that. It's not a place where you can just slide on in and get reunited with your child through us. It doesn't work like that. So I want to be very clear, and I'm not going to stay on here long tonight because I don't have the engagement that I need to stay on here. I don't just talk and talk and talk. That's not something I'm going to do. But I need you guys to understand that the top 2 issues is divorce and out of wedlock births, non-marital births. Those are the very reasons, the top 2 reasons as to why children are growing up fatherless. And then when we start to dig into these situations, once the relationship is over, women, ladies, you do not see value in the man. You interfere. You do all different types of stuff to ensure that he can't see his children. And when a man has to pay child support but can't see his children, let me tell you, that is a burden out of this world. Have you ever had a car break down on you, but you still got a car note on it? That is the worst. Never had it, but I know friends who have. It's the worst. That's what you're asking a man to do. You're asking a man to pay for a car he cannot drive. He's not going to pay for it. He's not going to pay for it. He's going to get him a new car. He's going to get him a whole new family on the other side of town. And he's going to do right by that family. He's going to get it right this time. That's why you guys keep saying, well, and I've had calls. My father he's got this whole other family and he doesn't do this and that for us. Child, that's between, and I've said this so many times, but I'm back on, so I got to repeat some things because there's a lot of new people on this page. Daddy got a new family because that's between him and your mother. It has nothing to do with you. He is not absent from your life because of you. He's absent from your life because of the relationship between him and your mother and the complication that maybe he didn't want to heal. Maybe he later figured out your mother was right the whole time, but he had already walked away. Maybe that's where he was. So now he's in a new relationship and he's getting it right in that relationship. Men do that. The one woman who's like, get it right, do this, do. They walk away from that one and then they get it right in the next one because they've done too much damage over here. Not to say that they can't come back and heal that damage. Not to say that they can't come back and really do the work in the initial relationship. Sometimes that's just too much for people. Sometimes that's just too much. And so when we're looking at these relationships and we're looking at how they impact the parents, that also then leads to how they impact the children. And both parents, I'm going to say it, both parents, I'm going to tell you, I've seen it time and time again. Both parents are petty as all get out, because for them, they're fighting for their own best interests and not the best interests of the children. And I know some people don't want to hear me say that, but I have watched it happen. I have watched fathers, y'all make some really dumb moves just because of ego and pride. Well, it's my child too. Yeah, but if the court order doesn't give you that, then just follow the court order for right now. Like and I won't say for right now, but for right now until you can change that. I should be able to do this and that with my child. You should be able to. But unfortunately, you are in a different type of situation. Some people need to learn how to stick and stay, because some of this, you can't even navigate it right because you refuse to stick and stay. Like, you get out of a situation and then expect it to be perfect, or as if you guys are living together, and it doesn't work like that. You were in a dysfunctional situation. You were in the worst possible situation you could possibly even think of. Divorce, breakups, and you have children. This is not good. This is not good. And then you get remarried and blend families. I learned something. Can't blend a family if you don't bond. And too many of you guys stay away from each other, and she can't babysit, and she can't do her hair, and she can't. And so if you're not bonding, you can't blend. So there's no such thing as a blended family in your household. And y'all ain't bonus mamas, because don't nobody want y'all to mother them. They show up at your house, create chaos. Yeah, that blend family, Monique, that ain't it. Not the blended family. Can't do it. It's not real. And stepmamas and bonus mamas, oh, I'm on some new groups, and I'm going to tell you right now, we catching hell. Women who come into a scenario where there's a child, y'all don't even know the hell you catching. You don't even realize what you signing up for until you already in it. You don't know the child ain't going to like you simply because the mama don't like you. And the child show up and act like they like you all they want to. And as soon as they go home, oh, why she do that? And mamas be like, we ain't saying nothing about you. You was a lying heifer. You talking about us every chance you get. But that's what continues to create fatherlessness. Because even when the child comes to the home on rotation, on visitation every other weekend, child got stuff in their heart pertaining to the stepmama because mama's over there talking about her, throwing her under the bus. Oh, daddy ain't this anyway, and she did this. And y'all petty as all get out. And what you do is you continue to wound your children over and over and over again with that, when they could actually just have 3 loving parents. But because y'all petty, kids can't even get 2, 3 parents. Could have 4, right? Because if you was dating somebody and really in a relationship with someone and not worried about what he's doing, it could be 4 parents. They could have literal bonus parents to fill in the gap. Monique said, so much drama. I deal with it now, Queen. Yeah. Trust me when I say it's ridiculous. It's unnecessary. When you have someone who really loves your child, who really thinks the best of your child and wants to be the other parent to your child, whether it's an auntie, a parent, however they want to be, why are you so hell-bent and so worried about them? You think your child ain't going to love you because they love this other woman? That's a lie. If they call the other woman mama or they call the other dude daddy, you think that they're not going to love you equally? Oh, he can't spank my kid. Why? He in the house with him 90% of the time. Fatherlessness is not just the presence of it all and where a father is or isn't. It's how you guys are operating in these situations and scenarios. Come on. When I tell you, Mo ain't right, she ain't lying. She has always been jealous. I had a call one time, and I'm telling. I had a call one time. We had to get on the phone, and the mama called me passive aggressive. And I thought that was interesting because a few months before that, the child called me passive aggressive. The daughter called me passive aggressive. And I asked what that meant. And she didn't know what it meant. The daughter didn't. She didn't know the term. She thought she did. I was like, that's not passive aggressive. And so then When I'm talking to the mother, she's like, well, we don't talk about you, but she used the same terminology. And when I asked her, well, what makes me passive aggressive? She said, well, when we were moving furniture out of the dorm, you were like, you guys are taking that furniture with you? You guys are taking that furniture with you? And so she thought I was being passive aggressive from that. And I said, okay, so what did you think I meant by that statement? And she said, I don't know. So then how do you know I'm being passive aggressive? See, any dorm room I was in, and I didn't stay in the dorms, but I had friends and we were moving them out. You know, you got to move friends, right? We didn't take the furniture. So I just like, oh, they brought their own furniture to the dorm. I wasn't thinking they were stealing it. I wasn't being yeah. I was shocked. I was like, oh, that's different, is all I was thinking. Somehow that became Torri passive aggressive. But then I asked you what you thought it meant, and you didn't even know, which told me y'all been talking about me. But sit over here. My mama and I don't talk about you. Oh, we never talk about you. Y'all both lying. You have to say that to make it like it's nothing. You have to say that like, well, we just both came up with that on our own. Y'all ain't that smart at all. And that's what happens in too many situations. Folks, y'all ain't that smart. Y'all see people and they out talking about. This is the stuff that creates fatherlessness. It's not just a man not being present. It's all of the, as Mo said, all of the drama that goes along with it. It's just crazy. Mo said, 10 years in and she's still acting crazy. It's because there's no bonding. No bonding, no blending. It's just that simple. It's not complicated. And they don't want to bond with you because they want to create havoc in your marriage, hoping that it's going to destroy your marriage. And I'm going to even say this. They don't want to just create havoc. They want to make sure your finances is tied up. They want to make sure your womb is tied up and you can't have no children with this person. They want to make sure the calling is tied up and your relationship with God is tied up. They want to make sure all of that. And some of y'all need to start praying real prayers to counteract some of this stuff these people are doing, because they speaking curses and negative stuff towards your marriage and your relationship, hoping that it will fail. Oh, child, they ain't going to make it. He ain't going to make it like I make it. Some stuff is not a witch on a broom and a cauldron stirring up a pot. Some stuff is just from your mouth. You know how powerful your words are? You know how powerful someone's words are? They are literal weapons. That's why the scripture says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. You know why? Because the mouth is the thing. The mouth is the weapon. The words are the weapon. And you may not be privy to what they're saying, but you can feel what they're saying. And men, if you have wives who are telling you something ain't right on the other side of this, you need to listen to your wives. I don't have any reason to be lying on people. I am a very sensitive person in the spirit. And in this season, I'm more sensitive than I've ever been, because that's where I've been. Me and God been kicking it, because I wouldn't get through this season without that. It wouldn't have happened. Nope. It wouldn't have happened. Mo said, so true. It's true. Our mouths. Y'all act like control and manipulation and all this other stuff that people are doing. You act like somebody's on a broom and a witch and they stirring up a pot when somebody says witchcraft, or when somebody says a curse, when somebody says, oh, they doing this and doing that. No, it is just that your mouth is one of the most powerful things you have. And ladies, sometimes you have to close your mouth and keep silent. Sometimes all you can do, you don't get to talk to your husband about it. All you can do is go pray. That's all you got. But I can tell you in this season, what I've learned more than anything is the power of a praying wife is like none other. When you got a covenant, I don't care if they out in the streets, in your house, at their mama house, I don't care where they at. They're going to feel the power of those words in your prayer time. That's what you got to know. And anybody coming up against your marriage or creating havoc in your situation, you have the power to pray against it. You have the power to deal with it. And in your own fatherlessness, the only way you can heal it is by confronting it head on and using your words to help heal. Journaling, doing different things. I didn't bring it over here, but I started a journal. I started a new devotional, 100 Days to Believing Bigger. I started it today. And I started today because one of the key things that I've learned about myself during this time is that critical spirit, that those words. as things got worse and worse and worse in situations, and at just whether it's my marriage, whether it's my business, I have a way of saying things that I just shouldn't say. I think it. That's part of me growing up the way that I grew up. I think it, and so the more it gets, I get worse, and I begin to speak it. And so I started started looking up, how to heal a critical spirit, and a lot of it is positive affirmations. So I've taken a lot of positive affirmations courses and things like that. And so over the last couple of months, which have helped, I'm still working on it. I'm still working on believing the I ams and walking through those things. But as I'm doing this devotional today is trust on a simple level, right? Just trusting God in a simple place. And I've learned to trust God bigger than that in this season, much bigger than that. But that's the first devotional. Some of you need to find a place like that so that you can speak the right things. Yeah, the breakup happened. The divorce happened. But guess what? God is bigger than divorce. He's bigger than the breakup. And he intends for your children to have relationship with their father so that then they can have a positive relationship with him. That's the deal. So when you start removing fathers from the relationship with their children, you're going to limit how your children, you're gonna put some rose-colored glasses on your children when it comes to spirituality and relationship with God. That's what you do when you create these situations. You put rose-colored glasses on things, or you limit the view. It's like fogging up one lens and they can only see out of another. Their perspective is jaded. Their perspective is shot. Yeah, we go to church, we love God, but there's the one place or the several places where we can't surrender that part. We can't get that part because fatherlessness is much bigger than the presence of a man in the home. Fatherlessness becomes the whole situation. Men, it even becomes how you parent your children. Are you parenting, overcompensating and parenting from a deficit? And so you overly do things. You just overcompensate everything. You done created a situation where your son doesn't even know what manhood really looks like because you're afraid to teach him that. And look, you won't even teach your daughters what womanhood looks like because you think her mother's supposed to do that. But you got to realize that girls also see how women are supposed to be from being in relationship with a father. And if you won't father them, parent them, they never know what that looks like. They never know what that looks like. Fatherless is bigger than the presence or the absence of a father. It is all of the stuff that's swarming around it. It's all of the drama. It's all of the issues. It's the bickering back and forth. It's all of that. Sometimes a man can come get his child every other weekend or summer or whatever it is, but y'all still bickering back and forth. And guess what? That child's still fatherless. Child's still fatherless. And then you feel like a visitor. So guess what? In feeling like a visitor, you won't even parent. In growing up fatherless yourself, you're afraid to step into that place of father. Maybe you don't even know how to do it, but you got some idea and you won't even do it. You know why? Because you don't want to lose the relationship with your children. You don't want that moment to be taken from you. Some of y'all got to put your big girl draws on. You got to put your big girl draws on and suck it up. You had the baby with the man. Now you're going to have to raise this child with this man. And let's just keep it real. It doesn't end when they're 18. It does not. Got into a situation like that thinking, oh, they're good because they're 18. No. Now the child's old enough to start doing what their mama was doing. Oh, hell no. Now it become a whole nother situation. You don't even know it. I just started a book called Mothers Who Can't Love, A Healing Guide for Daughters. Oh, my Lord. Have you read this? And if so, what are your thoughts? I have not read this book. What about fathers who remove themselves? Fathers remove themselves for various reasons as well. And I covered that earlier. I'm sorry. I did cover it earlier. Men aren't perfect. This is not about a perfect situation. I'm throwing everybody under the bus. I have said it. People can verify. I said both parents are petty. And fathers who remove themselves, once again, that has to do with the relationship with you, Sharon, or with the mother. That is not, fathers aren't just removing themselves just because. There are reasons behind why they're removing themselves. And I'm not saying those reasons are correct. I'm just telling you, everybody in these situations tend to be super dysfunctional. Everyone. It is very rare that I see a situation that has high conflict, a high conflict baby mama or a high conflict baby daddy, and it's just one person. It takes your participation. It takes your part. I was asking the question earlier today and even yesterday. When you have a toxic relationship, what does that look like when you have a toxic relationship? Is it one person? No, it's both of you. One person may be toxic. One person may be toxic, but it requires your participation to keep going back and forth with the toxic person. It's like playing tennis, going back and forth. What are you playing with them for? Mo, I was there when Mo, yeah, I was there. Mo said, my dad apologized for removing himself. Sharon, so many dads, just like I said earlier, we don't throw away moms, but we throw away dads. So many dads grew up fatherless themselves, and they don't have the tools to stick and stay when things are dysfunctional. They don't have the tools to stick and stay when the breakup happens. And then there becomes drama and trauma, and guess what they're going to do? They're just going to go across town, child, and create another family and try to start that thing over again. And they may mess that one up too. That's just where things are with this. It's this weird cycle that men will do. But Mo's dad, I was there. I was there when that man wanted to raise up and raise somebody from the dead. Yep, I knew it. She said, have begged him. He's remarried with a family. Yep, and because he does not have, look, just Sharon, if you were not the person who created the drama, and if you are drama free, stay that way. And if you are not drama free, create that. You find your peace. He will eventually come and apologize. He is remarried with a family. Yeah, because everything he did wrong in your relationship, he is going to try to figure out how to get it right. He going to even use the tools and the stuff you gave him and told him. Do you sit and resent it and live in bitterness? Nah, girl, you got to move on. You got to move on in your journey. He's remarried. He's got a family. He's decided to do something different. But I need for you to know, men do walk away. It's not an excuse, but they got reasons. They got reasons. I hope that helped you, because I had to say this on a call. Trauma ain't personal, not towards you anyway. It's personal towards a person. It's them. This has nothing to do with you. Stop taking somebody else's trauma on as your own. It's not you. It's them. It's them. And whatever trauma you have, you continue to work on that. And if you haven't started, work on it. Work on your trauma. That's the thing that you're going to be responsible for. All we can control is ourselves. Yes. And if you want peace, you must be peaceful. Amen to that. Amen to that. If you want a good co-parent, be a good co-parent. It's that simple. Even if they're not, you be the good co-parent. I know someone who recently told me that their ex-husband apologized after like 20 something years. I was just dealing with what I was dealing with. And they lost an entire family. Her new husband adopted the children. The ex-husband was very grateful for her current husband and how he had adopted the children and how he had been in their lives. But I'm telling you, some men get it late. Some men get it early. Some men don't get it at all. Same for you ladies. You've got to recognize your fatherlessness is creating a pattern in your own life, even how you pick men, even the man that you pick to have children with. And if you look back at it, you're like, man, I picked them out of dysfunction, completely out of dysfunction. And now I'm reaping the consequences of that dysfunction. That's what this is. Does that make it right and fair? No. But fatherlessness, what's creating fatherlessness? It's divorce, as I said, breakups, non-marital births, out of wedlock births. It's coming from that. Then it's the drama and all the things that come from that. Yes, it's the courts. It's all of those things, but it's also all of the drama and the stuff that swarms. To me, that's more fatherlessness than a father's presence. Because I'm telling you, a dad can come get his kids every other weekend. You can see your daddy on a regular basis, but because your parents still have drama, it makes it even worse. It makes the fatherless experience even worse. And it does so much damage. I saw a video yesterday, and I've not really been on social media in the last week, but I saw a video yesterday, and it was a dad picking up his daughter. Little girl was probably 6 or so. She was too big to be held, but he was holding her, trying to get her in the car. And as he's trying to get her in the car, the mother's like, no, blocking the car. No, you wait until the police get here. And clearly her son from another relationship is videotaping, because he was like, I'm going to kick your butt and blah, blah, blah. And he got up in the little boy's face. You can't see the little boy, but I could tell from the interaction that was not a new boyfriend, or no, that was the other child. And he felt some kind of way. He felt betrayed. You could feel it. You could hear it, all of that. And then he goes to put the little girl in the car, and he drives off in the car. Do you guys think that children aren't feeling that? That little girl is screaming. All of that's taking place in front of the children. You're putting your best interest over the children. Why was the mother blocking the father from getting the child? Let that man go and take that child. He is not going to kidnap the child. He's not going to kill the child. He's not going to starve the child. This is how serious this is. I had to do an event last Saturday, not this past Saturday, the Saturday before. I'm going to say this, and then hopefully I'll end this conversation. As people are coming to my tent signing up for the program that we're launching here in South Florida, one little boy said, oh, Tony, I think lives in Georgia or something. He was talking to the grandmother, I think, who was standing there. Tony, I think lives in South Florida and lives in Georgia. And I said, who's Tony? And he said, my dad. And I said, why do you call your dad Tony? Oh, because I hate him. Mind you, this little boy is about 11-ish, maybe 12. You hate him. Double masked up and all, because I was. I put my sanitized hand, because I had hand sanitizers. I ain't playing with this stuff out here. I put my hand on his chest and I said, that's a lot of weight for a young man to carry. He hates his father. So why do you hate your father? Hand still right here on his chest, still on his shirt. He said, I hate him because he left my mama. Now, what 11-year-old knows all of that? See, that's fatherlessness. Why does he know details about their relationship? And he only knows just enough details to hate his daddy. He don't know the fullness of it all. He knows just enough to hate his daddy. So as I began to talk to him, I was like, you can be mad at him, but hate's too much. That's too much to carry. I need for you to alleviate yourself from hatred. And I said, and you can say to him when you see him, I'm mad at you. Where have you been? But you can't hate your daddy. You can't hate your daddy. And he said, okay, yes, ma'am. He said, I do understand. I had another young man or family come up to the booth. And we were presenting, once again, the Fatherless Generation Foundation for the kids, the peer groups, but also we're starting a pilot program for single moms. Get myself into a whole situation here. Ms. Sharon is the reason. And part of that is anytime I teach the children, I don't care what city it's been in, mothers have walked up to me and said, hey, I need what it is you're teaching my children. And I just didn't want to help single moms because it was just too much to do the children and the mamas. But I realized, hello, we got to help the mamas. We got to help them with their fatherless piece. I never want to step into a space that I'm not, and I'm not a single mom, but I get that they're fatherless, right? So probably we'll start doing the father piece on this too. And so mothers would keep me after these sessions with their kids. I'd teach a session for 45 minutes to an hour, and then I'm outside talking to parents and mothers for an hour. So we just decided to put it together. Children in one room, mother in another room, or the mother's in another room. Mother is there. 3 children are there. And as we're telling her about the program for the kids as well as for the single moms, the mother says something like, well, their dad talks to them, here and there. It's not consistent, blah, blah, blah. Boy, about 14 or 15. He says, that's because you hate men. We're at a tent at a park. This is not a private therapy session. This young man says, that's because you hate men. He had 2 sisters standing there, and he was the only boy. What does that feel like? Growing up in a home with a mother who you know not hates your father, she hates men, but you're about to be a man. This is fatherlessness, people. This is what is creating fatherlessness. Hey, Cherie, how are you? She said, not so fast, I'm here, because you know I'm about to get off of here. How are you? This is what's creating fatherlessness. A little boy, 11 years old, growing up in a home where he hates his father for leaving his mother. Too much information, mama. I know mamas who tell their children, daddy don't pay child support, daddy don't do this, daddy don't. Children should not know any of those things. You keep children in grown folks' places in every other situation, but you want to tell them about who their daddy ain't and what he ain't doing. Oh, they don't want to go with their dad. So, you don't let your children choose anything else in their journey, but they can choose this, whether or not they go with their dad. You have a 15-year-old who's very aware that his mother hates men, but he's about to be one. What does that look like? How does that manifest? How do you manifest as a man in a household where your mother hates? Cherie said, hey, y'all. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey. I'm back, Cherie, finally. She said, I'll catch the replay. I'm sorry I'm tardy. You're good. And congratulations on your engagement, ma'am. I saw that. But how does that happen? How can he become a man in a household that hates men? We got questions. I got questions. And if she hates men, do you think there are men around? Probably not. This is what's creating fatherlessness. And then he'll grow up to either produce children and not know how to father them and walk out like Sharon's situation that she told us about and not really understand what he's walking out on because he grew up fatherless, or he'll parent from a deficit, from a place of insecurity, overcompensating, lack of boundaries, unable to create boundaries with his children. And so then when he wants a real relationship, he's unable to have it. And that's why so many, especially Black women can't remarry for nothing. They can't get no dates. They can't do nothing. Oh, it's my children. You know how many people I've saw it recently. Whole fight in the marriage club about putting spouses first and not children and not parents. People are like women, Black women galore. My children come first. Forget my spouse. Okay, I got questions. Number one, are these children that you're having with your mate? One lady said, well, they came from my body, so he's got to understand that I have a bond with my children that I do not have with him. How is that possible? When y'all became one, y'all sleep together and created these children, and you was one then, and he was all up in your body. Number two, if these are children from another relationship, you've got to explain to me exactly why and how you could marry a man who would not put your children first. Meaning you two come to a mutual agreement that you love each other enough that you're going to put each other first, but then you're going to put together when it's necessary, right? You put the children first. Not the needs, not the children are being neglected. And that's what a lot of Black women saw in that. They thought that meant that you had to neglect your children. That's a trauma response. Your mama put a man before you, and that's what you're dealing with. Your mama put a man before you. And so what you're really dealing with that's a trauma response. When you can't see That your children are supposed to come after your spouse. I didn't say a boyfriend. I didn't say a girlfriend. I said your spouse. This was when I tell you, I don't even know how many comments were on there. It was crazy. But I can tell you, I went through, and it's a lot of Black women who are completely out of order. But bear with me as I say something that may sting. When you have children out of order, it all stays out of order until you put it in its proper order. Y'all out here willy-nilly sleeping with whoever, and it's out of order. Yes. She said, okay, I'm dead all up in you. But that's what she said, Mo. She said, well, my baby, they came from my body, and we have a bond. Are you? I seen your videos. I know you be over there with Michael, all up in your body. Y'all became one, literally. Out of order. If you had children out of order, trust me when I say, all of it is out of order until you decide to put it in order. Set boundaries. Put that stuff in order. The reason baby mama can keep wreaking havoc on y'all relationships, because baby mama still might be getting some of the on the side. We gonna lie or we gonna tell the truth on here? Or as soon as y'all break up, guess where he go? Back to the baby mama, because she always available. She always available because she wanted your man anyway, even when you married him, because he didn't marry her, but he married you. When the man is out of place, the woman is misplaced, the children are displaced, God is replaced, and the vision for the family is erased. All right, Cherie, she up in here giving it to y'all. Let me leave that there for a second. Men, y'all got to get in your proper place, in your proper order, and set your families in order. That may sound like some ancient talk to some people. I'm sorry, ladies. There is an order. And that doesn't mean lordship. That doesn't mean your possessions or property of people. It is nothing like having a man in his proper place. It's nothing like having a man in his proper order, connected to God. He got to be with God to be in order. No. He is not Lord God like that. There has to be some order. So it is 10 o'clock. It's 10:02, and I've gone past my time. It does start at the head. God. Let me say this. Fatherlessness. Fatherlessness started well before a man even jumped in on the scene. Some of the homes that you come from were out of order and dysfunctional in the first place. And now you've repeated patterns and situations, and that's not just women, that's men too. Out of order. Your dad was a mute in the home. You had a dad at home, but he was a mute, emotionless, not connecting. That's still a fatherless home, people. Abusive, right? So I need you guys to know that what's creating fatherlessness? It's more than a man's presence or lack of presence. It's all of the drama that goes along with it. It's all of the stuff that I've talked about here tonight. I need you guys to know that we're in a season where God is calling families back together. There's an order that God is doing and putting into place. And we need to be open to that order. I know some of y'all religious and y'all done learned some real tacky things and some real religious things. That's not what I'm talking about. For those who are just coming on and getting to know me, and this is your first time interacting with me, I am not talking about a man dominating and lording abusively and emotionally, verbally and emotionally abusive over a situation. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a man who knows his rightful position, who knows how to cover and pray for his family. And when things are out of place, he knows how to put it back in place and put it back in order. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a man who knows how to protect, who knows how to provide, and knows that provision doesn't always come from him and his job. It comes from God himself. The Most High is always in position. Yes, Cherie. The head means setting the foundation. Stop avoiding hard conversations, men, because you don't know how to deal with it. You're like, I don't know how to do that. Go find somebody who does. In this season of my life, I have 5 amazing women who have covered me, who have prayed for me, who text me. I may be in this bed crying. They text me and be exactly what I needed. I am grateful. Pastors, prophets, give me a word straight from God. I am grateful. And all of them are married. None of them have been married less than 30 plus years. One is 32. I know another one is 38. They're all in the 30s, right? And then this is what's even crazier. One lady's been married for 52 years. 52 years. And they have shown me and taught me what it means to be a praying wife, even when you married, but you ain't together. They're showing me how to heal through this journey. It is amazing to watch. It is not easy. And yes, Cherie, it's about alignment. So, yes, Dr. Torri J is back. I am talking about what's creating fatherlessness. Go back in the replay and watch, because this evolved into something I wasn't expecting it to evolve into. Because sometimes we think fatherlessness is just those tangible, natural things that we can see. But as we've had this conversation, I realized that fatherlessness is also the aspects of that we can feel. It's the aspect of what we can feel, the trauma and the drama. It's the things in our family line and the generational curses that we have yet broken. It's the places in our own parenting where we feel insecure, inadequate, and not enough. That's where fatherlessness is. But we've got to get it right. It's time to get it right for the next generation. It's time to break these things off of our lives for the next generation. And so I'm going to get off of here. I will be back next Tuesday. I will. I'm back. I'm back. Things were hard for a minute. And so I will talk to you guys later, and keep me in your prayers, and keep my husband Varric in your prayers. We still need it. So I thank you. All right. And you guys have a great night. All right. Bye-bye.